Alô, pessoal da Sim São Paulo. Espero que vocês estejam se divertindo e adquirindo muito conhecimento. Com certeza eu estou fazendo isso. Estou perambulando pela Sim. Esta é a maior convenção de música do Brasil e da América Latina e é por isso que a gente está trazendo esses conteúdos incríveis. E agora eu vou falar com Glenny, que é um australiano, e a gente vai conhecer um pouco melhor sobre o trabalho dele. E eu vou começar, obviamente, perguntando sobre a música australiana, que nós aqui no Brasil estamos muito acostumados a ouvir muito artista australiano. Hey, Glenny, how are you?
Tudo bem. I'm good.
Tudo bem?
Still one of my favorite phrases in the world. Tudo bem. Just feels so good. That and saying feijoada. Feijoada is a great word. Good food and great word. Feijoada.
It's a great food and it's a great word. I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not being able to come to Brazil and taste the feijoada, but I would love to hear a little bit about Australian music. We here in Brazil, I don't know, I bet you know this. Maybe it's the country where it gets more music from Australia, things that are very, very well known on the radio. So a lot of things from Australia get really popular here. I mean it from Men at Work, things like that, from Kylie Minogue and stuff. So it really, really, really airs very much in Brazil. And I'm anxious to know right now, during this pandemic time, what is music from Australia taking place? Where is it going? And how are things going on? I mean, with the music industry and the people that work in it.
Thank you for that question. And before I start, I just want to just say that I am currently on Gadigal land of the Eora Nation here in what is known to most people as Sydney. And I'd like to pay my respects to elders past and present and any Indigenous folk who are watching this now. I mean, it's a strange time, isn't it? Pretty weird. And I think that for us here in Australia, the fact that we were doing, a lot of our artists were doing a lot of international touring, and we also have a lot of people within the music industry that work internationally. And since the pandemic, a lot of those people have come back to Australia and had to stay in Australia. And the likelihood of us, like currently from the government, we cannot really leave the country. It's impossible. Qantas is our major kind of airline carrier. They're not looking to do any major international flights until October 2021. So we are preparing to be pretty much landlocked within Australia, maybe New Zealand, maybe like Singapore, Korea, Japan, those countries that are very close to us, like a Asia Pacific bubble. But we are preparing to be pretty much at home for the next 2 years or so. So, and that takes a lot of strategy to figure out what and how we can export music when we can't get out and be on the road.
So you work with basically exporting music, which is something you cannot do physically now. You cannot travel. You're not going to conferences. Speaking of conferences, I'd like you to talk about your experiences in conferences. And what is the one you miss the most? You can say in São Paulo, but you can say others too.
Yeah, I mean, our job was to create showcase events for Australian artists that have been selected to play international showcase conferences around the world. And obviously that can't happen. So the virtual showcase world it's difficult. Every day of the week you could go to a conference now. Like there's something on every single day. And I think that for people who work in our position, like the export officers, and we have regular catch-ups with a lot of the export officers from all over the world, this year has probably been the most challenging and hardest year that we've had to face because of normally we can plan out a year and we can we know within like 12 months in advance what we're going to do. We're all learning a whole new industry. We're all learning and having to invest money in things that we'd never had to invest money in before, like video production. And it's actually compared to how we would normally operate. It's actually a very expensive exercise. It's like, from a general public point of view, I'm sure it seems like, oh, you just put some videos up, but that's not the case. If you want people to be presented in the best way possible, it takes money and it takes investment, and making sure that you're navigating all of the copyrights and navigating, your publishing and your labels, and how the performance and who should be getting paid and how they should be getting paid. All those things are very, very hard, and everybody's learning at the same time. So this year has been way harder than most other years, even though that, and our time zone, obviously it's well, I mean, it's good for me right now. It's like 10 in the morning, but for you, it's like 10:30 at night. So our time zones within Australia is very, very difficult. So a lot of our calls are at 6 in the morning, or will start at 11 at night. Or if we want to attend a conference, we've got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So those kind of things are very, very, very difficult. In terms of the conferences that I miss, I miss them all. We do everything from classical and jazz, and the trade missions that we were doing into South America. So Sim Sao Paulo and Rio Music Market, Fluvial, and doing stuff in Fluvial in Chile, and going to Peru. We were ready to start working within the Latin American and South American markets, and now that has kind of been paused, and that is terribly frustrating for us, that we can't travel there, and that we've done all of this work, and a lot of that work has kind of stopped. And now we've got no choice but to start looking at Southeast Asia.
I bet you miss traveling a lot, and you sure miss your feijoada. But you come and get it in 2021, hopefully.
I live near the airport, and I really our team is very much missing being able to travel. I have a cat now. I would never have a cat in the past because I'd be on the road. So now I have a cat. So that's been nice.
That's the positive side of Corona.
Shoga Ninja Neko. You look him up on Instagram.
Yeah, I will look him up. Now, yeah, we're talking about Australian music. How do you make a selection, because it's such a big country, although it's not demographically big as it is in Brazil? But how do you choose which music to send to specific festivals, digital festivals, and events throughout the world?
Well, typically in BC world, so before COVID, we wouldn't select the artists. We would let the events themselves. There's usually an application process, and they would choose the artists that they would choose the artists that they think would work within their market, based on listening to them and how they felt, and then we would work with those artists. Within the digital space, it's been a little bit different. We have worked with alumni, so artists that have already been to those events, because, to be honest, it's a gap year. It's not normal. It's not what we would normally do. Anybody who is trying to convince themselves that I don't even know if it's I hate the word pivot now. It's a swivel. That's swivel. It's everybody's learning all these new skills that we hope we don't need. So in the future, we hope that we can go back and go back into a physical space again, and hopefully we can. Obviously, we're all learning this new technology, and that's going to be adapted into whatever this great new world that we develop is. But we're all learning all of these new things, and it's been very, very difficult. And I've gone on a tangent. I can't even remember what the original question was.
No, you got it. You nailed it. Now, I'm not talking about what I was talking before, like that Down Under is one of the most aired tracks of all times on FMs in Brazil. But I mean, new music. How big of a market is Brazil for Australia?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. The infrastructure that's taking away the political situation that's going on over there that we all know and understand.
We don't say that name. It's like saying Voldemort.
Yeah. So we understand that, and we understand that we're working with that situation as well. There is great infrastructure within Brazil. There's the collection societies are doing a good job, so the money is able to feed back to the Australian artists as well. We've had a great relationship with UBC and done some stuff, some songwriting with them in the past as well, some songwriting camps. So the infrastructure is there, the population is there, and the love of Australian music is there. Like it is by far, this is why it's so frustrating for us that we've just started to, it takes a long time to go into these new non-English speaking markets and get an understanding of how they work and find the right people. And now that we've had great momentum by participating in Sim and meeting a lot of people, so many people through Sim, and now having that kind of stop in the physical space has been very, very, very difficult. But the market is still going to be important to us. We're not going to forget about it. We might need to deviate some of our attention to different markets, but in terms of being a market that likes, there's the surf culture, there's the electronic music culture and DJ culture, there's the world music and Indigenous music and collaborations that could happen. There's so many things between Australia and Brazil that we need to work together on, and that there's so much potential. I mean, we need you more than you need us. We're 26 million people, and you're 200 million or whatever it is.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And we are the same size as you. I think we're slightly smaller than the continent of Brazil. So we've got a lot of space. So we're very much interested and really want to be able to work with the Brazilian industry and be able to have our artists and our industry work with Brazilian artists over in Australia. I mean, there's a lot of Brazilians in Australia. There's a lot.
I hear it's a big Brazilian community there, and I wonder, as a market for Brazilian music in Australia, how does it go? Is it has it been going well? Of course, the pandemic era is not an era. BC is another thing, and now, but I mean BC. How was music from Brazil doing in Australia?
Oh, look, we are still dominated by the US and the UK and Australia. So, I mean, anything outside of that is kind of, from a commercial level, is hard to cut through. But there's been plenty of what I'll call world music acts that have come to Womadelaide. Obviously, there's not Pantera, like Soulfly, and the Brazilian metal stuff that's worked really well in Australia. I would imagine that there's quite a cross section of all genres that are working within Australia. They might not be getting on the charts or anything like that, but there's room for every genre to come in. Like one of my goals in life somehow is to get Gloria Groove to come to Australia and play Mardi Gras. I really want Gloria Groove to be huge in Australia.
Invite me to do this event with you, but I would love to see that.
I think the Gloria Groove would go down very, very well. It's like so everything from metal to dance to pop, disco, whatever it might be. It can all work here.
It goes so well with Priscilla, all the memories that we have from Australian movies, and Gloria Groove would be amazing on that bus.
We need more Brazilians to come to Australia to teach us how to dance better.
Amazing. Now, one thing is a really tough question that I sometimes ask, and I'm willing to ask you because you know so much of Australian music. I'm sorry, but I have to ask you a top 3 Australian tracks or artists, new artists to hear right now. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. I am going to start with some Australian hip hop. AB Original. We just went and saw AB Original perform on Saturday night, actually. Indigenous hip hop, Briggs and Trials. They are very much at the forefront of raising the profile of not only Indigenous issues but Australian hip hop in general, and have really done an amazing job. And they are brilliant.
AB Originals.
AB Original. So think Aboriginal, but A.B. Original.
Perfect.
Am I going the right way? That way.
No.
Anyway, you'll get it. I'm trying to think. I'm sure you all know Alice in Wonderland. I think she's toured
Yes.
in Brazil before. I think she's got some new music that's coming out. This is really. I wish you'd given me this question a little bit beforehand, and I could have thought about it a little bit better.
Sorry.
And
It's on the top of your mind, really. That's why it's.
I mean,
without alert.
There's a band called Lime Cordiale. Andrew Stone has come on. He's their manager. Has come on the trips with us to Brazil, and he's their manager, and they're doing really well. So Lime Cordiale would be another one that I'd say you should be looking out for. Yeah, man, it's really put me on the spot. As soon as you kind of say things like that, it's like, ooh.
But it's enough. It's 3.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, and I'm very close to the Miami Horror guys. So the fact that Brazil, I think, is their biggest market.
They're amazing. They're known.
So Brazil. So big ups to Brazil, loving Miami Horror.
Yes, we do. And I thank you so much. We've consumed our 10 minutes, a little bit past that. Thank you so much for having us in your home and for being here all the same.
Thanks. Now I feel having that Budweiser sign makes me want to drink beer in the morning. That's not a good sign.
Thank you so much for this, and I hope to see you next year in São Paulo.
Let's hope. Everybody be safe, stay safe, stay powerful, and obrigado.
Muito obrigada. A gente falou com Glenny G e eu te vejo na Sim.